the end of the day, selling is transferring a feeling. If you don't have the feeling, you can't transfer it. If you don't have a good, positive feeling, dude, you're an actor. You have to sell and run your business from a place of positivity. And however you get there, God bless you. Welcome to the Primeau Show, episode 109. Change your thinking, change your life. We're here with Kyle Daines, and we will be starting the show in just a second. Let me pay the bills. If you haven't bought your book, Sell a Million, 101 Tips for Furniture and Mattress Stores to Sell Another Million, what are you waiting for? Now's a great time. It's on Amazon for less than 2 cups of coffee, depending on where you buy your coffee. And I'd like to give a shout out to my friends at the Mattress Industry Network Group who support our show and sponsor our show. Steve, thanks for having us. And if you are in the mattress industry and you do not belong to the Mattress Industry Network Group, what are you waiting for? This is a place where you can come for free and build, market, sell, and succeed in the mattress industry. It is a group run by retailers for the entire industry. Hit that QR code right there. It'll take you straight to our Facebook group, which is 100% free. Join now and tell them I sent you. Kyle, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Pete. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. It's extremely humbling of some of the greats that have sat in my seat and have been able to share some of their knowledge. So I'm extremely grateful and extremely humbled by this opportunity. So thanks so much.
No, you're very welcome. So there was a reason I wanted Kyle on the show, and it's because he speaks with a different voice. And it's a voice that comes from experience. It's a voice that needs to be heard in today's world. It needs to be heard by 20-year-olds, by 40-year-olds, by 80-year-olds. He is a voice that must be heard. And so I want to ask you a few questions. I want to quickly kind of establish where you came from, where you are now, and how you made that wonderful, blessed transition. So, Kyle, in your own words, take me, back a few years and kind of, show the audience where we came from and where we are now.
Perfect. Sure thing, Pete. On the 28th of September 2020, I tried to commit suicide. I overdosed on cocaine, alcohol, and sleeping pills. And to be truthful, with the amount of narcotics and all of that in my system, I shouldn't be alive today. And, I spent 3 days in ICU. I got picked up by a social worker. I said, can I please speak to my parents? And all of that. They said, no one wants to do anything with you. And they took me off to a facility, which was extremely difficult. Some have said it's close to being in a prison. And to be truthful, it was extremely hard, but yet in that, it was probably the best experience I've ever come across in my life. It taught me a lot about myself, inner resilience, mental strength, determination, and desire to succeed going forward in my life.
So what was your thinking when you woke up? Like, I messed up?
I was not happy. I was not happy. I've lost hope in everything, the world around me, and to be truthful, I'd lost hope in myself as a human being. I was sick and tired of hurting the people closest to me, my family, my friends, loved ones. And, no matter what I tried to do, it just kept on going into that downward spiral. And, I couldn't get myself out of it. My thinking at the time isn't where it is right now. And, so that was my only option, and the biggest thing, I'd lost hope in myself. as a human being. And I didn't see any other way going forward in life.
And when I watch your comments now, Kyle, it's
Mm.
there's a strength and there's a no nonsense approach that, I mean, sometimes you sound downright harsh, dude. And I love you, right? But you like sound harsh. Like, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah. Yeah.
but I think that's exactly what some people need. And when you kind of look at this downward spiral, and I don't want to spend much of the show here, I just want to spend a little bit of time here so that we can kind of move forward and get some actual takeaways for our store owners, for our sales reps that watch the show, of how they can change their thinking and change their life. But if we don't spend a little time here, we have no foundation. So you said you had lost hope. What happened before you lost hope? I mean,
Um, I'd lost my job due to my cocaine habit. I had lost.
okay, that's
I was engaged.
what I was looking for. So you lost your job because
I lost my
of
fiance at
drugs.
the time.
Okay. And did you have a girlfriend?
I was engaged. I was engaged. I was supposed to get married in a couple of months before leading up to that. And my fiance at the time, yes, rightly so, she said she'd had enough, and went and left. And at the time, my emotional IQ was extremely poor. I didn't know how to self-regulate as a human being. I didn't understand my emotions as a human being. I thought to be truthful, to be a human was to be happy all the time, and I couldn't deal with those hard times that were dealt with me, that I got given at that period in my time. And it took me, to lose everything to actually realize, who I am as a person, and realizing that hard times are part of life. And it's how you deal with those hard times, how you understand it, and how you actually become a little bit grateful for it, because it makes you a better person. It makes you a little bit stronger. So going forward in life, you make those better choices that suit you more as a human being. They're more in line with your authentic self.
So I'm going to say something. You're welcome to disagree and you're welcome to correct it and you're welcome to
Mm.
put your own spin on it, because that's why you're here. I want your thoughts, not just mine. But I believe that we, in particular in America, we're infatuated with this idea of going after happiness directly. I'm going to make X amount of money and I'm going to be happy. I'm going to make this beautiful man or woman fall in love with me and I'm going to be happy. I'm going to sing this song and on a stage and I'm going to be happy. But the reality in life is that happiness is like trying to nail jello on a tree with a nail. It's going to elude you every time if you go after it directly. If you serve people and you make a difference in another human being's life and you help them, you will be happy. And happiness is one of those things that we cannot directly go after it, because no matter what it is, the money, the cars, the man, the woman, whatever it happens to be, the clothes, it doesn't matter what that thing for you is. You're never going to be happy just getting there. You're only going to be happy when you're helping other people and you're making a difference in this world and you feel like what I say and what I do contributes and I'm helping people. Coach me up if I'm wrong.
No, 100%. I agree with you. I do think there's a massive difference between happiness and fulfillment. I think we are born, especially my generation, I'm 33 years old right now at the time, we are born into having instant gratification. That's what we look for as people. We don't understand that meaning of fulfillment in life. If you don't mind, I'll just like to just share a quick little parable, a little story,
Sure.
metaphor of life. So this boy wants to go play catch with his dad. and his dad's got, a lot of work to do. So he takes a map of the world and he tears it up into hundreds of pieces. And he says to his son, once you put that map together, we can go outside and play catch. The boy comes back about 10, 15 minutes later with the map of the world perfectly put in place. And his dad's flabbergasted, can't understand how did he do this. And he said, Dad, it was quite easy. At the back of the map of the world, there was a picture of a person, picture of a man. All I had to do was put the man together and the world fell into place.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I've heard that before, and that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us. That's huge. So let's get into the meat of what we're talking about. I have store owners, right? And they say, I'm going to be happy when tax season starts. Now tax season started, so I'm going to be happy. And then once it slows down again, am I going to be sad? So you're a life coach now. And by what I can see, you're a successful one. And you really do a great job of helping people move from point A to point B effectively. When you're working with somebody and they're not where they want to be and they want more happiness or they want more fulfillment, how do you get them to define those things maybe more appropriately? And how do you kind of start to get them to change their thinking so that they can change their life?
Well, again, I do believe that it all starts with self-honesty as a human being. What does it take to have a great relationship with someone? You've got to spend time with that person. You've got to understand that person. So how many of us actually understand ourselves to the T? What makes us tick? What works for us? What doesn't work for us? Going on a constant basis, having those internal conversations with yourself. What must I keep on doing? What must I stop doing? What must I carry on doing as a human being? And once you can be self-honest with yourself and actually call yourself and have those courageous conversations with yourself as a human, because everyone talks about having these courageous conversations with another person of how this person did you wrong and how you need to call this person out. But it's about having those courageous conversations with yourself and actually realizing, well, I might be the main reason that's holding me back in my life. So what do I need to do?
I'm trying to catch up with you. And this is really important to unpack. What works for me? What do I do? What do I need to do more of? And what do I need to do less of? And so when somebody isn't getting there, they're not owning their crap. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you bop them in the head? How do you get them to own their stuff? I mean, I know right now I've got store owners telling me that they've got employees that don't own their crap. They just show up late to work and they get called on it and they don't even own it. They don't say, I'm sorry, nothing.
I mean, it's a very interesting point you brought up, but those type of people are going to be bumping into and not getting to where they need to be because they can't break that change cycle, and that change cycle will only break with, as I said, being completely self-honest with yourself, or something dramatic is going to happen in your life. I mean, for me, as an example, something dramatic had to happen in my life for me to want to change. If not, I would have carried on doing and going through the same process, until, I would have, as I said, shouldn't be alive. And so it's that sort of thing. You've got to understand where you're coming from. Why do you actually want what you want? And if not, well, to be truthful, it might be a little bit hard. You are wasting your time. Maybe you actually don't want to change as a human being. Because a lot of people come and say, I want to change, I want to do this. And then they get into the process and they realize, well, this is a little bit difficult there. This isn't exactly what I thought. I thought this would be so much easier. To be a high performing person in life, it's 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 pretty difficult. You've got to work on your thinking, your discipline, your behavior, your habits, your attitude throughout a course of a period. People want change, but then they want results straight away. And change can happen right now. I mean, you can sit there and say, in this minute, a power of a minute, I'm done. I've had enough of the way I'm living. I'm changing. But you've got to understand that those results are going to take a little bit longer, and you've got to push through that pain. Pain can be a fantastic motivator in life. If used correctly, if looked at correctly.
I think your second question is huge. You have to understand where I'm coming from, but why do I want to change? I think that's huge, because if we don't get really clear on that, all the benefits that accrue, what my world looks like after my change, if we don't really zoom in on that, we're not going to have the energy to modify our behavior, to impose a discipline that we need, to create the new habits, and to execute on the actions to get the results that we want to get. So I think that's huge.
100%.
Yeah.
I tell a lot of people that I come in contact with, there's two things that will change your life. It's consistent and positive focus, and the right consistent and positive action. If you can commit to that, you're already halfway there. You're going to be on a good start. But it's having that consistent day in and day out, even if you don't feel like doing it. Understanding that those small steps, those action steps that are so vital, taking you to another level that you want to play in at life. That's where the true magic happens.
Yep. Consistent and positive focus, consistent and positive action, 100%. And really thinking about, what does it look like when I do succeed? What does this new me look like? What does he or she feel like? How do people interact with me? How is this compared to what it is now? And that helps to give the energy uh, to make that change. So it's really simple to say, change your thinking, change your life. What would you add to what we're talking about? We covered some of the basic things. What would you add to it? Is there a favorite exercise that you have as a coach that you like to do with clients? Is there an exercise that you do with your potential clients that either they pass it or they fail it and they don't become a client? I'm just curious. I'm very curious about this.
When I first start off with someone, I call it, invest in my hour of greatness a day. We all busy, so maybe it's not an hour, but I say I've got my hour of greatness today. So it might be half an hour of exercise, reading, upskilling, and going through that process. And I tell people, you need to enjoy the process. It's not just about getting to your desired state. The true magic is who you become as that person when going through and reaching the challenges that you overcome. When you get to that final stage, when you're at your desired state, it's who you've become as a person, as an individual, and how much you're going to learn about yourself in that process. I'm never big in telling someone what to do. I'll never do that. I'm extremely big in guiding that person and helping them along the way. But I do believe that responsibility breeds empowerment. So the more responsible you can be, take responsibility for your life, the more empowered you're going to become as a human being going forward. And that's going to help change your thinking, your discipline, your behavior, your habits, your attitude, your choices that you're going to make as a person. I mean, some might agree, some might disagree, but this is what I found that works for me. And success leads clues, and it's about following those people that have succeeded before us and understanding what they did, and just modeling a bit and finding your own perfect little way to do it. You might take a bit from this person, a bit from that person, and finding what works for you as a human being.
Success does leave clues. And if you read biographies of successful people, you will find these common threads. You will find discipline, you will find good habits, you will find consistent action, and the entire way through, you'll find somebody who, despite the outward circumstances, have chosen positive attitudes. And it's not easy. It's not like a book title like Think and Grow Rich or The Power of Positive Thinking. You flip a light switch on and I'm happy. No, it doesn't work that way. It requires exactly what you said: consistent and positive focus, consistent and positive action. And you have to be willing to modify and change things. But the the one thing that you said that I really loved is self-honesty. It really just it starts there. We have to be honest. So if you're a store owner and you don't like the way your uh, delivery guys or your salespeople are behaving and they're acting, you have to start to become very, very honest with yourself. How did I train them? Did I train them correctly? When they first
Yeah,
screwed up the
100%.
very first time, did I give them feedback? Do I consistently give them feedback, or do I wait until the 10th time they've screwed something up and then I explode on them and they think I'm a psycho? Right?
Yeah, and then it's getting there, and it's understanding your emotional intelligence as a person. Also, what is your capacity as a person? I see quite a few people that want to be in leadership positions and want to have that title as a leader. But to be truthful, they're not ready yet. One of the greatest books I ever read, Robin Sharma, The Leader Who Had No Title. And I think that's extremely important to understand. And some people, they get promoted, maybe they shouldn't have, and they don't know how to step up that standard of being a store owner. We say, or a store manager. When say they were a very successful sales rep, and just for them to get up there and do it, they haven't raised their standards of life, and that's the only thing that's going to happen if you want to sit there and play life at a little greater game, at the greater game of life. You're gonna have to raise your standards that you set yourselves. And some people get into that management position and they think, well, now life is easy, and they don't realize how much other work they've taken on, and the more responsibility. And are they capable enough? Do they have that capacity to take on that responsibility?
Yeah, you're really touching on something that's it's not necessarily well, I guess everything what we're talking about today encompasses everything. So, but it's an important thing that we see often, and we see it happen in our industry, in the furniture and mattress industry, quite a bit. A superstar salesperson at retail becomes a store manager, and he or she is woefully unqualified to become that. Um, some of the greatest salespeople in the world should remain salespeople and never become a sales manager, because it's a different set of emotional skills, it's a different mindset, and quite frankly, there needs to be training if you're going to try to make that transition. And it's almost it's very commonplace for us to hear about the superstar salesperson, either B2B or in retail, that became a manager and flopped out and just ended up leaving the company, going back to sales
Yeah.
and becoming a sales superstar again somewhere else, because his or her emotional makeup, how they operate, was perfectly suited to being a sales superstar, and it was not suited to becoming a superstar manager. And one of the interesting things that I kind of like to do is I often compare things that I see in business to things that I see in sports. And it's uncommon for a superstar athlete to become a superstar coach. What is common is a very average player who barely made the team, who had to work so darn hard to even be part of it, goes on and becomes a great coach. Often we see the greatest coaches were never even pro football players. They didn't make it past college. They didn't. Their emotional makeup, their intellectual makeup, everything about them was perfect for being a coach, and it wasn't perfect for being a player. And it's rare when we see a great player become a great coach. It's almost there's some things missing there. We could spend a whole show on that. I don't want to do that. I want to dig in, and I want to give takeaways to our store owners and to our sales reps who are listening, who are thinking, okay, you know what, Pete, Kyle, you got a point. Maybe I need to change my thinking. Um, and so how do I change my thinking? Where do I start? Do I start with a book? Do I start with, how do I start? How do I start this? I come to a place and I say, you know what? I do think there's an aspect of my life or my professional life or my personal life, and I want to change it. So what is the first step, Kyle?
Well, there you've got to sit there and, there are strategies for success and there are strategies for failure. So you've got to sit there and map out exactly what you want. So say you have a goal for 12 months time. Then you need to ask yourself, okay, so where do I need to be in 9 months to reach my 12-month goal? And then take it a step back. So where do I need to be in 6 months to reach my 9-month goal? Where do I need to be in 3 months to reach my six-month goal, and so on and so forth? You've got to become extremely strategic in your thinking. You, the high performing people, they don't worry about tomorrow. They're already planning. They don't just let tomorrow happen. Obviously there are some unforeseen events, but they've already thought about the possibilities of what's going to happen, what could go right, what couldn't go right. Am I on target to what I'm to where I want to be as a person? So I think it comes down to that, and again, I speak a lot about drive, determination, your willingness to do it, and those are the questions that you need to ask yourself. You've also got to be extremely aware of your inner self talk. What words are you actually saying to yourself on the sideline? Because many people come across confident and they'll talk and say how life is great, and they say, "Oh no, I'm this, I'm the winner," whatever. But inside their minds, they're beating themselves up over the most unnecessary things, and they don't understand that thoughts become things. What you're saying to yourself as a person when no one's around, those are the key aspects. So you've got to really sort out your mindset and understand. I talk about your mind being an attic, storage unit. So what are you actually putting in your mind? What are you actually storing in there? Are you storing in positive positive stuff? Or are you holding on to old memories that don't suit you as a human being, that are holding you back? Okay, what is actually holding you back as a person? Are you really aware of that? And I think it goes all into that. I mean, it's a broad topic, but you've got to have a effective strategy for your life. People do business audits. I believe people should do life audits on themselves. Looking at your wheel of life. The couple of main areas, and understanding again. Why isn't this why isn't this area in my life fulfilled enough? There are people that are earning a lot of money, and succeeding at work, but they come home and their family life is an absolute mess. And they want to have that also that connection with their family when they come home, but they're working 15, 16 hours a day, and some of them are absolutely buggered when they get home, and they can't have that enjoyment. And that, you don't understand, actually affects them quite a bit in a psychological frame of mind.
That's great. So I want to unpack a couple of things here. First of all, my hat is off to you, and I asked you for something tactical, and the correct answer was there's not a single tactic. The correct answer is you must become strategic in your thinking. And so you switched that around on me very diplomatically and very gently. And thank you for your skill. Your father has to be very proud of you. I'm proud of you. So it's not a tactic, it's strategic, and you did that so well. So, but I want to dive into this. I heard a guy that some people think is crazy. His name's Vernon Howard, and he's no longer with us, but he was an American philosopher who did a lot of talking about self-talk. And one of the things that he said, if you really start to take stock of how you're talking to yourself and you really understand how cruel you are to yourself and how many times in a day you say things to yourself that you would never, ever tolerate another human being, you would punch them in the face. You need to understand that all of us, human beings, have negative self-talk. And until you fix that, you're going nowhere, brother. You can potentially, through focus and effort and acquired skill, start to build a life that seemingly looks perfect, but it's crumbling all around you because you have not fixed the inner self-talk. You have to talk back to it. I mean, I make a joke. I just go, really? Now, is this my 5-year-old self? Is this my 10-year-old self? Is this a bully that got over on me when I was 11 or 12 and I'm still letting that person live in my head rent free? I mean, what is this? Where is it coming from? I don't let it go unaddressed. I deal with it. And do you know what it's like? And Vernon Howard explained this. He said, once you shine a light on it, it goes away. It just goes away over time. Just becoming aware of it. You don't have to do a ritual. You don't have to do anything. You just have to see it and you have to understand that it's happening. And then sometimes you'll talk back to it. Like me and my wife have a joke and it's poor boy. Because when I grew up, we didn't have any money. And so there are some behaviors that I have that are grounded in poor boy. I haven't been poor in 40 years that I could tell. And it's really, really important for you and your business to have you 100% healthy. And the only way you can be 100% healthy is by understanding this self-talk, this negative self-talk that happens. No one knows it but you. But trust me, some of the cruelest things that are ever said are said in between someone's ears to themselves. And you have to deal with it. You have to talk back to it. Maybe you have to ignore it, but you have to recognize it. You have to at least shine the light of your consciousness on it. And maybe you laugh at it, but you have to identify in it and understanding it disempowers it. if you let it continue to run in your life, in your background, unaffected, running wild, it will do everything it can to screw you up. It'll say you're too fat, you're too skinny, you're too this, you're too that, you didn't go to the right school, you don't talk right, you mispronounce this word or that word. It's all that stuff is there. And let me tell you something, whoever you are, I don't care who you are. If you're a human being, you have this negative self-talk unless you have done a lot of this inner work to get rid of it. What say you? Coach me
No,
up where I'm
100%.
wrong.
It's the power of journaling. I mean, I've kept a
Ooh.
journal for going on 2 years, and each day, I write down, what were my emotions? Why was I feeling happy? Why was I feeling sad? And I try sit there and see, what time was it? What time of the day was it? What was I doing? Why did I get put in this state of mind? So I can try to find a trend over 3, 4, 5 months to say, okay, well, let's look at this. Let's backtrack everything, and let me actually see that I've actually, okay, well, this keeps on coming up, and this is why I've got this problem. And you're speaking brilliantly about that piece. Your limiting beliefs as a person, and we all have them, and those can sit there and hold you back in ways that you don't understand. And you've got to look at your belief system as a table, and you've got on top your limiting belief, and you've got the four legs of a table, and those are the evidence that are supporting your limiting belief. So you've got to actually come in with a hammer and knock down those limiting beliefs, that evidence that
Ooh.
supports it, and find new evidence that is supporting you going forward in a more positive way. It's not the most easiest thing to do, but you've got to understand that you're holding on to stuff that for 20, 30 years that actually don't serve you as a person, because as you said, some person told you X, Y, or Z. I mean, to be truthful, I was dreadful at school. I was more worried about the sports field and all of that than when I sat there and I told people, you know 18 months ago, that I'm gonna start running my own life coaching business. I had a lot of people that laughed at me, a lot of people that didn't believe in me, and I just sat there and said, well, you know, stuff to you guys, I'll show you. And I had to go back and do this exact same thing to myself, because I had that as a person. I never thought that I would be capable enough as a person to do what I'm doing right now. And it took a lot of hard work. And as I said before, it's not just about reaching your end goal. It's enjoying the process, and you become in that process. That's where the magic happens. And sometimes you've got to put your foot down, guys, and you got to say, you know what, I will show you guys. I will do it. And again, this might be a little bit tough, a little bit hard, but to be truthful, sometimes the world is a little bit tough and it is a little bit hard, and sometimes you've got to raise your standards, and you've got to get hard, and you've got to get tough too. And you've got to dig deep inside of you, because I guarantee you, most of us listening, we all know deep down inside that we deserve more in life, but we're too scared to take that change, to push through, because we've got those limiting beliefs that have been passed on to us. And some of the limiting beliefs, honestly, can be passed on from the people closest to you. My grandmother, my grandfather, brilliant people. I love them. But growing up, they, all due respect to them, they had a limiting belief about money. They grew up poor. They'd never experienced money, and that was being passed on to me growing up. And it took me up until I'd say, you know what, I love them, I appreciate them, but there's nothing wrong in disagreeing with someone that you love and all of that. If you want to find a new direction and go forward in life, if it's the right positive direction that you believe.
So I've been trying the whole time to get something tactical from you, and you finally delivered it while you were talking about strategy. each day journal. I'm a big believer in journaling, and that is something tactical that you can do. The most important piece of it is going back and looking at the overview the way Kyle just coached us to do and find patterns. Um, this belief system table analogy, I think, is invaluable for anybody and everybody. So imagine the limit and belief as a table and knock out the legs and just, you know, that was then, this is now. That has nothing to do with who I am now. You know, did I fail before? Yes. Did I screw up before? Yes. Did I do a drug? Yes. Uh did I lie? Yes, I lied. But is that who I am now? No, it's not who I am now. And understanding that and destroying those limiting beliefs, and understanding that this process is exactly that. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen with a lot of work. So, in addition to the tactic of journaling and then coming back and reviewing the journaling piece of it, what else would you say would help somebody to change their thinking and change their life?
Um, you need to believe that you can do it as a person. You can have, X amount of people that say you're going to do great, that they believe in you. But if you truly don't believe it as a person, that you can actually, raise your standards and live the life that you know you deserve, to be truthful, then you're bullshitting yourself and, and the people around you. You've got to actually have that complete self-confidence that what you're doing is going to be great. You might lose some people on the way.
Yeah.
But that's life. You'll find probably better people, and that will support your goal, your dreams, your desires. And you've got to make those tough calls. You've got to become extremely ruthlessly pragmatic with the way you live your life. And it was a beautiful thing that you brought up about discipline and all of that, Pete, earlier. And people have a negative connotation with discipline. They don't realize that actually discipline equals freedom in your life.
Right.
Can you go and endure those short-term sacrifices? They're going to sit there and lead us to longer-term gain in our life. And again, the choice is up to you. I'm never going to tell people what to do. I'll guide them. But again, I'm a massive believer. I follow the REBT by Dr. Albert Ellis. And responsibility breeds empowerment. You've got to take it on, guys. You've got to grab the bull by the horn sometime and say, this is it. And I'm going to go for it. It's better to try and fail than not do anything at all.
I loved what you said about basically don't buy other people's stuff. I had a mother that loved me and was a great mother for me in 100 different ways. I don't have enough time in a show to tell you how great she was, but she did have one thing. And she used to say, money won't make you happy. And my joke to her is, Mom, I tried being poor and that didn't work either. So trust me, I'm perfectly happy. I've never felt guilty over making too much money. And trust me, I'm not killing myself. Hey, Steve Hauk. Good morning, gentlemen. Sorry for joining late. Hey, it's always great to have you. The guy that writes the checks for my show. I'm always glad to have you, Steve. Do you have any questions for Kyle? We're almost wrapping up, but I really want to dive in onto something else, Kyle. Here's my mother. I know she loves me and I love her, but she has programmed me from freaking birth about money the wrong way. And at some point I just rejected it. And I said, no,
Yeah.
no, No, I've made a lot of money and I make a lot of money. And guess what? Money's not bad. Money's good. Money makes you more of who you are. If you're a bad person and you blow your money on bad things, then that's on you, dude. Do that. If you're a good person, you should want to make a lot of money, because you know what? When you make a lot of money and you're a good person, there's a lot of orphans and a lot of widows that benefit from it, right? So get that stuff straight in your head. Um, but this belief that you can do it, sometimes we've been beaten down so much that we have a hard time believing that we can do it. That's when you watch a podcast of somebody that failed and failed and failed and failed and then made it. That's when you read the biography of somebody like Colonel Sanders, who was a failure up until he was 60 some years old. All right. That's when you borrow someone else's story and you buy into the fact that I can change my life. Sometimes we have to borrow someone else's example and someone else's success to inspire us, to help us believe that we can do it. And sometimes, if you're blessed like me, you will have bosses that believe in you and let you know. I one time had a boss and I said, "Why don't you fire me?" And he said, "Because I believe in you. I believe in you." He goes, "I wish you believed in yourself as much as I believe in you." And I thought about that long and hard as I drove a few hours back home. Randy Thompson, it is hard to be generous when you are broke. 100%, brother. 100%. Um, and listen, the good book tells us if much is given, much is expected. And you know what? My greatest pleasure in this life is doing things for people that I couldn't do unless I was having the success that I'm having. And that doesn't happen in a vacuum. That happens because you get a lot of people rowing in the same direction as you. And that
Mhm.
happens because you are choosing the correct actions to take and you're focused on that success. You may have covered this, but how do you overcome the thought of paralysis by analysis? Oh, we have not covered that. Oh, is that you,
Great question.
Esteban?
Great question.
It's a great question. Uh, Go ahead, give us an answer on that. You may have covered this, but how do you overcome the thought of paralysis by analysis?
Mhm. No, definitely. Overthinking and over analyzing can separate the body from the mind. I mean, this is a little bit philosophical, but we are one whole being, and you got to understand. Sometimes you can sit there and overanalyze, and you never get started. This is when you know the great Tom Hopkins, his great sales trainer. I know there's a lot of greats, you know, around now and all of that. But my first sales book I ever got was from my dad, was Tom Hopkins, How to Master the Art of Selling. And in that book, I think it was, he calls it the law of war. And it stands for, you got to get off your ass. You can prepare, you can prepare, but there's got to be a time and place where you decide, you know what, I need to pull the trigger. I need to actually take action right now, because that's the only thing that's going to change the situation.
Yeah, I keep this. Tom Hopkins, The Champion's Creed, at my desk. I read it every day. I read it every night. Sometimes I read it several times during the day. And it's very simple. Tom Hopkins, The Champion Creed. I'm not judged by the number of times I fail, but by the number of times I succeed. And the number of times I succeed is in direct proportion to the number of times I can fail and keep trying. I don't even really need to read it because I've said it so many times. There's another piece to that. Uh, how do you overcome the paralysis by analysis? It's common to a very, very real understanding that I'm never going to have all the information that there is in the world to make this decision. I'm never going to have everything perfect. And sometimes I just got to go. And the great Dan Kennedy, who's the father of well, he's not the father of direct results marketing, but he is the father of no BS direct results marketing. Good is good enough is something that you'll hear Dan Kennedy say again and again and again. As a copywriter, you rewrite something 100 times, right? But sooner or later, good is good enough, and you just got to go. It's good enough to generate income. It's good enough. Is it going to meet your highest standard? Maybe not. Maybe, it's not the greatest thing that you've ever done, but good is good enough is a great way to help yourself move by that paralysis. And that's tied closely to this perfectionism. Perfectionism can be almost like an addiction. It's not perfect, so I'm going to wait. And you know what? The reality is it's never going to be perfect. Nothing is perfect in this world. And sometimes we really do just got to move forward, and we've got to go. We've got to make a decision with the facts that we've got, and we have to go forward with the ad that we've created. And it's not perfect, but it's good enough. So that's what I would say to that. Steve, you got anything before we wrap this up? No. Anybody that's been watching this, Steve Hauk, I've always been blessed with the ability to do first and figure out the how later. But I talk to a lot of people who suffer from paralysis by analysis. Yeah, it is common, Steve. It is, and that go getter thing that you've got going, Steve, is really a blessing. One of the things that I've always said is I've been smart enough to go forward, and I was not so smart that I got all hung up on everything else, because some people are truly too smart for their own good. They just keep analyzing and analyzing and analyzing, and they never move forward. So you are blessed. Kyle, what's the number one book you'd recommend on neuro-linguistic programming? Wow, that's a great question, Steve.
I've actually got it
It
right
appears
here.
it appears to be a setup question that he was ready for.
This is my little NLP book.
Allie Campbell.
Yeah, Ali Campbell, a top guy in the UK. I've read this book many a times. I've studied it backwards. It's a great book. Yeah, it's great insights. It's going to really, you know, get you thinking. It's not one of those books that you're going to just breeze through. It's going to take a while, and I've read it about 2 times, and I'll be going on my third time shortly. But that's sometimes what it takes. It's that commitment, that desire, that determination again to understand, what you want, and that you're not going to let people stop you, guys.
Hello, Patrick Tinney. I know that's you from Bancroft, Canada. Thank you for joining us, Patrick. I love everything that you do, and I cannot wait to see your new course you've got coming out, my friend. I'm super excited for you. And I will say this for Patrick, there's a fourth book in you. I want to be in your forward that I bothered you for the last 2 to 3 years. I've called this, you need to deliver book number 4 to us. We in the sales world anxiously await your brilliance. Kyle, this was amazing. I started off blank, and I've got some great things. You know what? I just recently got so busy, I got away from journaling, and you, my friend, pulled me back into journaling, which has been a great asset to me over the years. If anybody that's not journaling, you need to journal. don't do it for anyone but for yourself. And there's some different thoughts on this. If you have somebody in your mastermind, might be your husband, might be your wife, you might include them on it, but some people say, no, don't, just keep it for yourself. And look for patterns that you should continue, but also look for patterns that you might want to discontinue. So I am listening to this podcast and I say, you know what? I want to get in touch with this Kyle Daines. I've got a kid that's going through some challenges and I think this guy could help break through to them, or I want to change my thinking and change my life. I want to get in touch with this guy. How do I get in touch with you, Kyle?
Yeah, get hold of me on LinkedIn,
LinkedIn?
Kyle Daines, or you can pop me a mail. My email is kpdaines@gmail.com. I've got a website coming out shortly, but yeah, guys, shoot me up. I'm always here to help. This is my passion. This is my purpose. This is what I've been put on the earth to do, and I look forward to going on this journey to success with you guys. I love it when I can see other people succeed and becoming better people each day. And to be truthful, with me helping people, in turn, I learn more about myself. We're all imperfect human beings. I don't claim to be perfect. I've got my flaws, and it's just grateful to work with people. And as I said, I help them, and in the process, I learn a lot about myself in the process also. So it's extremely beautiful, extremely humbling experience. I'm truly grateful for this journey that I'm on. It's I wake up each day and just say, thank you, to my higher power that I've got a second chance in life, and I'm gonna make the most of it. So thank
Amen.
you, and thank you again, Pete, for all of this. It has
You're
been
welcome.
absolutely brilliant.
Steve Hauk. Pete, what is your journaling secret? The journaling secret is blank pages, and make yourself write something down even when you don't feel like it, and you'll be surprised. You have to steal some time away. I've done it early in the morning and I've done it late at night, and it depends on what I need. If I can't let something go, Steve, I write it down in my journal. Um, when I was in my 30s, I had a very difficult time sleeping at night, and I sleep like a baby now. But I would have all kinds of thoughts, hundreds of things that I had to do, and I found that I couldn't get my rest. I couldn't get sleep unless I wrote it down. Now, you got to be careful that your journaling doesn't just become a to-do list. So, you kind of got to try to separate those two. But sometimes journaling in the morning, when you're alone with your thoughts before the whole family wakes up, and with you, Steve, that's tough to do with 8 kids. But find some alone time. We all need alone time, and we truly need it every day. And listen, sometimes it's so hectic you can only steal away 10 or 20 minutes, but do it. So the secret is to do something every day. Everybody has a different idea of whether it should be in the morning or at the end of the day. I do it in the morning now, but I used to do it at night because it's the only way I could literally get to sleep. And I had two things. I had a journal and I had a to-do list, and I separated those things. So Kyle, sorry I had a last minute question there. I just wanted to address it. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute privilege to meet you. Thank you for your support of the show. And I love what you have to say. I love the tough love that you give people. I think it's needed in today's world. I think that we need to let people know that, you know what, you need to choose your focus, and you need to choose your actions, and you need to choose to be accountable to yourself for everything that happens in your life. And if you control everything that you can control, you're going to find that you do change your life. And I guess, one of the things that we started with, that self-honesty loop, is really getting real about that. It's probably your reminder for your appointment. So I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much, Kyle. Have a great day.
Thanks so much. Thank you. Thank you. I'll see you. I'll see you next week, Monday.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
going to be tuning in.
I'm going to look
Listen to
forward
another
to
great
seeing
podcast.
you.
This is
Thank
the
you,
show
sir.
to be on a Monday, guys. We got to be on the Pete show. It's fantastic. So thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for your time and company. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Take care. Take care. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Cheers.